Yesterday, while I was sorting through work emails at my desk, my wife Ava casually uttered a sentence that detonated like a bomb in the middle of my life. With the same tone she might use to mention a grocery run, she said, "I'm going on a date tonight, a date with a colleague." The words knocked the air from my lungs. My name is Nathan. I'm 32 years old, and for nearly 7 years I've been married to Ava, 33, confident, witty, and until recently, the woman I trusted more than anyone in this world. Ours had always been a quiet life, by design. We had made a mutual decision not to have children, opting instead for long conversations, quiet Sunday mornings, and shared dreams that had once felt enough, or so I believed. Several months ago, cracks began to appear, quiet at first, barely noticeable hairline fractures beneath the surface of our routines. Ava started voicing a kind of restlessness. She said she felt trapped in repetition, like her life had settled into a pattern she couldn't escape from. One day, out of nowhere, she even floated the idea of having a child, something we had both firmly agreed against in the past. I was caught off guard, but told her I'd be willing to talk about it if that's where her heart truly led. We spoke briefly about it twice before she dismissed the notion entirely, laughing it off as a silly passing feeling. I took her at her word, chalking it up to fleeting emotion or maybe an early midlife storm. I had no idea that something deeper and far more dangerous was quietly unraveling in the shadows of our marriage. Then came yesterday. "I'm going on a date tonight," she said again, as if repeating it would make it more normal. I blinked, staring at her. My laugh was automatic, a desperate reflex, but she didn't smile. Her eyes were locked onto mine, steady and devoid of apology. Her lips were tight, her posture calm. That's when I realized she wasn't joking. She meant it. "A date?" I asked, barely able to shape the words around the thick knot forming in my throat. She nodded, as if discussing something utterly reasonable. "With Eric, from work." "Just dinner." My mind went blank. Eric. I had heard the name a few times in passing, never given it much thought. She described the outing as just something exciting, a harmless deviation from her routine. Her exact words, "something exciting," they echoed in my mind like poison. I sat there, watching the woman I had promised my life to tell me, without flinching, that she was seeking thrill in another man's company. She went on to explain how Eric felt just as stuck as she did, how they bonded over frustrations and started confiding in each other. She claimed it was nothing serious, just a little spark to make life feel alive again. When I asked why she had to call it a date if it was so innocent, she replied, with a word that chilled me to my core, transparency. As if being honest about betrayal somehow lessened its cruelty. I was paralyzed. Every fiber of my being wanted to scream, cry, demand answers. But I couldn't move. Ava kissed me gently on the forehead as if she were stepping out for coffee and walked away to get dressed. I remained frozen on the couch, engulfed by disbelief. I watched her as she carefully applied her makeup, slipped into that scarlet dress she once saved for our anniversaries, and smiled at herself in the mirror. Not for me, for him. My chest felt hollow. I didn't recognize her anymore. This wasn't the woman I married. Desperate for something, anything to anchor myself, I called my best friend Kevin. I couldn't even admit what was happening, not yet. I disguised it as a story about a guy at work whose wife had crossed a line. Kevin tried to play devil's advocate, suggested it might be harmless, but I knew, deep down, I knew it was far from innocent. She came back earlier than expected. 9:30 p.m. Her smile was distant, brittle, her lipstick smudged, her perfume different. She wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "It was so exciting, Nathan. Just what I needed." Her words landed like blades. Then came another cruel twist. She told me they were planning a weekend getaway. Not even 2 days later, my vision blurred. The sheer audacity stunned me into silence. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay on the couch, my mind caught in a merciless loop. The Ava I knew, my Ava, was gone, and in her place stood someone careless with my heart. But I wasn't going to break. I wouldn't scream or beg. I was done giving her space to hurt me. The next morning, as Ava busied herself with packing for her weekend with Eric, I quietly made calls. By Saturday afternoon, The house had new locks. Her key no longer fit. I placed her belongings in garbage. Bags lined them in the garage like discarded remnants of a life I no longer wanted. That evening, I stood silently as she packed her suitcase. She was giddy, carefree. I recorded her casually boasting about how alive she felt, video proof of her reckless indifference. It wasn't just for me. It was for the court, for clarity, and most of all, for the truth. Saturday morning, Eric's car pulled up. Ava, radiant in another red dress, blew me a kiss as she walked to him. I didn't flinch. I simply watched the final thread snap. When she returned Sunday evening, she found herself locked out, her key jammed uselessly in the door. She pounded, shouting my name, panic twisting her voice. I watched through the security camera, unmoved. When I finally opened the door, she looked wild with confusion, tears streaking down her cheeks. "What the hell, Nathan?" she demanded, trying to push past me. I didn't budge. "You wanted excitement." "Ava," I said quietly. "Well, now you have it. Your life as you knew it is over." She broke down, tears pouring, hands trembling, voice cracking. She blamed Eric, claimed it was all a mistake, but I wasn't interested in excuses. I handed her the video I'd recorded, and her face turned pale as snow. Her jaw quivered. She realized there was no way to rewrite the story now. The damage was done. "You destroyed us, Ava," I said. "Now, live with it." I pointed to her bags in the garage and shut the door in her face. She stayed outside for hours. I didn't open the door again. In the days that followed, the silence inside the house felt deafening, but it was mine alone. I had my lawyer send the divorce papers to her parents' house. Ava, now crashing at her childhood friend Julia's place, didn't seem to grasp the finality, at least not at first. She called, she texted, she left voicemails, some filled with rage, others with sorrow. Her mother even called me in tears, begging me to reconsider. But I wouldn't. The wound was too deep, the betrayal too raw. Her face on my phone screen made my stomach tighten. All I could see were her smirks while planning her getaway. The way she dismissed my pleas like they were minor annoyances. She had dismantled everything with the elegance of a wrecking ball. And now she was surprised by the rubble. Then came the day I had been waiting for. She showed up at my office unannounced. My secretary tried to stop her, but Ava's voice rang out in the hallway, raw and pleading. "Please, just let me talk to him." I walked into the lobby and found her clutching the divorce papers. Her face was streaked with tears, makeup smeared, her entire posture crumbling. "I can't sign these," she whispered. "I can't do this. I love you." I led her to a private side room. "What do you want, Ava?" I asked flatly. "We can fix this," she pleaded. I was stupid. I thought it'd be exciting, but it turned into a nightmare. "You're the only person I've ever truly loved." I looked at her, a stranger wrapped in familiar skin. Her hand reached for mine. I stepped back. "You lit the match," I said. "And now you're surprised by the fire." I walked out of the room, leaving her sobbing behind me. After that, she stopped calling. Through a friend, I learned she had started therapy, maybe the first good choice she had made in a long time. But I still wasn't done. I needed her to feel the depth of what she had done. I compiled everything: texts, timestamps, restaurant receipts, screenshots, all of it. I sent the package to her parents' house with one note: "This is why I can never come back. This is why it's over." The next morning, she left a voicemail. Her voice was barely audible. "I got your package," she whispered. "I understand. Now I see what I did to you. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand." It was the first time she didn't ask for anything. She just acknowledged it. That was enough. The divorce went through quietly after that. No courtroom drama. No last-minute apologies. She signed. I stayed in the house. At first, it felt like walking through ruins. Then slowly, like standing in a quiet cathedral. I started rebuilding. The gym, long hikes, painting again. Kevin pushed me to keep going. And I did. One crisp afternoon, out on a trail, I met someone, Emily. Warm, grounded, easy to talk to. She made me laugh again, not because I was trying to escape the past, but because I was finally stepping into something real. It wasn't love at first sight, but it was honest, gentle, something I could grow into. Ava made her choices. She paid the price, and I survived the fire and walked out stronger.